Hey, it's me, Wanda B, and I am here with the Will Smith, our Will Smith, here at IntellectualRadio.com. He just finished with Talking Cool podcast, had an interesting conversation. I was like, I want to expound on that. So we're doing a little bit of after the show with our the Will Smith.
Yeah. I like that. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be here after the show. Yes, sir. Yes, yeah. Oh, you said you don't like man. Yes. After the show, wanted to be.
You've had your one yes ma'am earlier today. I told him he gets one today. That was it. Okay, so uh, during his show, which I do want you to go back, always go back and watch our shows. If you missed it, the beautiful thing is they live on our platforms. You can say it's a random Wednesday night. You're like, I want to go to sleep. I want to go to sleep. Listen to a show. Pull up Talking Cool podcast. I highly recommend it. It gets a 5 stars out of 5 stars with me. Check it out. Talking Cool Podcast on intellectualradio.com with the Will Smith, our Will Smith. And today we talked about the shooting in Minnesota with the ICE agents. And he is a professional, so he knows what he's talking about. Okay, so we wanted to hear a little bit more about that shooting in Minnesota. Your opinion?
Well, these are all, and I like that after the show. After the show, it's a good thing. Now, let me clarify one thing. She said, if you want to go to sleep, tune in to Talking
I didn't
Cool.
mean it like that.
No. Now, if you want to be up all night and on fire and inspired and motivated, then you tune in to Talking Cool on Intellectual Radio and see how we put it down on the Will Smith show.
May I throw in my disclaimer? I messed that. I only said that because I know a lot of people who go to their podcasts at night. That's when they have time to sit and rewind and relax and really take in the knowledge. That's the only reason I said it. Now, for me, I'm an in the car girl. I'm gonna turn on my podcast to get from point A to point B. I'm not saying it puts you to sleep. I'm saying when you want to learn, when you want the knowledge, the best way you get in what you need to know, do it your way. I was just throwing it out there because recently I heard people say that's their way. However, you listen to your podcast, if it's your workout, because some days I say, okay, I'm listening to Will and workout. Get on the treadmill, turn it on, and get it in. Do it your way. I'm not saying he put you to sleep at all. My apologies.
No,
He's the man. Okay, back to the Will Smith.
I charge it to you. I don't charge it to your heart.
Yes,
I charge it to your heart. It's all good. But no, but in the shooting, it's always difficult, on the streets and on the scene, and a lot of people give a lot of thoughts about, any shooting that happens that involve law enforcement. People look at it from a civilian standpoint, and that's kind of difficult to do because on the scene, on the streets, it's not like the movies. The bullets are for real. They hurt, and they go through, and things happen, and there are people around. It's usually sometimes more people than the law enforcement, and so it's a lot that goes on the streets, and so it's really, you really have to be careful when you take a look at some of the things that go on with police shootings, especially if you have never been trained. And so the thing with law enforcement is that there's a training that goes, and it's not like a 1 day training. It's months and months of training, and then there's training again and training more. And so when we look at some of the shootings that go on, one of the terms that they use is, would any reasonable officer do the same thing? Because you can't judge it by what a civilian would do, and if you carrying a firearm, like for the conceal and carry, law enforcement officers, for one, are held to a higher standard. And conceal and carry, they people not trained. They to get a concealed carry license in Illinois, you got to take a couple of hour class, and then you got to go to the range, and you got to be able to hit 24 or 23 times out of a target that's really large, that's only maybe 10 to 15 feet away from you. So that's easy. It has nothing to do with somebody shooting back at you. It has nothing to do with you being able to move. It has nothing to do with the crowd around you and being able to discern and de-escalate. And so when we look at the shooting in Minnesota, man, I always say it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate for everybody. It's unfortunate for the lady who was killed. It's unfortunate for her partner that has to bury her. It's unfortunate for her kids. It's unfortunate for her family. It's unfortunate for the community. But it's also unfortunate for the officer because he was in a situation where he felt that he had to use his firearm. That's unfortunate. Now, if it was justified, man, that's where it gets super duper technical, and that's when you revert back to your training. And so I've seen what people put on social media. I've seen what people think. Well, she was trying to run him over. She was. It's this word that we use called tactical. And what you do, you have to be tactical, and you are governed and looked at. Did you do things the way we trained you to do those things? And I've also heard from different type of officers who also state that, hey, what his actions are kind of contrary to how we train. And I'm always concerned about these ICE guys because, I mean, just looking at them, I mean, they don't look tactical. They don't do the normal thing that law enforcement normally does. I mean, when people start going to get people at 12 o'clock in the afternoon in broad daylight, if you are really a threat to the community, what we sneak up on you and get you. We get you at 5 o'clock in the morning. Ice Cube says 6 in the morning, police at my door. Not 12 in the afternoon, not 2 o'clock p.m. Because we want to make sure we mitigate any possible harm first to the person that we're going to get, to anybody else that may be around, to anybody in the community. But the most important person that we want to be okay at the end of the day is the officer. We're trying to go home, and so like tonight, it's the Bears game. Officers that today trying to go home, and so how do we make sure? And I used to, when I used to train officers, I'm retired now, but when I used to train officers with firearms and ORT, I tell them all the time, don't be the reason you have to use force. That's the most important. Don't be the reason. You don't escalate things, and now you got to use force because you were in your feelings, you were in your emotions. People can cuss you out, they can call you out your names. That's not illegal. And keep it moving. You got to be bigger than that. But also, what we got to understand too is the ICE agents have been given a military type of command. By any means necessary, go do this. And that's why I feel a little way for the officer, because they telling them by any means necessary, go in, intimidate, use whatever you got to use to do this. So that puts them in a bad spot. And so now in a military state, military actions and local law enforcement actions, it's two different trainings. Military, it's take everybody out. If it's even a perceived threat in the military, it's you remove that threat.
May I ask a question? So
Yeah.
the ICE agents are trained based on military or based on the local training?
They should have their own local training, but the command, the way that they're being used, is in kind of a military kind of way. And so if you're being used in a military type of way, you have a military type of mindset. And so you go out doing your task, doing your job, and with a different type of mindset than law enforcement, would do. Because in law enforcement, if somebody is trying to get away, if they pose no risk to the community, if they don't have, you can let them go. We can catch up to you. We got your license plate. I mean, he walked behind the car. We got your plate. We know where you going.
Or where you'll end up at
Right,
the end
or
of
where
the
you end
day.
up at the end of the day. And so we got helicopters, we got cameras, we got everything. So if it comes to jeopardizing anybody else, the goal is to bring you in alive if we can, unless you really push the envelope to bring you in alive. But if you're trying to get away, I can let you go, and catch you later. And so, but if I'm given a military charge, I may not have that same mindset. So that's why I said, that's why it's an investigation done. That's why it's investigations usually done with people who are in the law enforcement type of field, because they understand the training and what should have been done. And if you did the training, because what's going to happen is in the court of law, with that family and with that officer, that family and that attorney is going to understand the training that they undergo. And the first thing they're going to do is break down everything he did not do according to the training. And so that's why it's kind of different. Like I said, I wasn't there. It's a lot going on. It's cold. you got people all around. It's maybe kind of chaotic, and so it's that's why I feel for the officer to have to draw his weapon in that issue, because when we're not there, we're not there. But did you follow the training? Did you do the protocol that has been instilled in you, not just to you, to all officers? And did you try to protect life rather than take it? Were you rogue? Were you a rogue? That's what they like to use in court. You rogue, this rogue officer, and so they even pulled up already some before, when he was dragged before, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, a couple of months ago. They showed scenes when this officer was being dragged by a car. So, like, what are you doing every time you go in where you get in the way of cars? They're gonna take a because there's no training that tells you to stand in front of the car. It's just you don't get trained to stand in front of a car, especially if you think that the person in there won't hesitate to run you over. That is not in any training book. And so they gonna break that all down. And I'm quite sure they already put his name out there. I heard the news say his name like this morning. They are. I mean, he has a family, as well. He may have children as well. And so, and pressure not made for everybody. And we all have training. Nobody knows what they'll actually do when it hits the fan. And so that's why was it tactical? That's why they drill all the training in you, so you will just respond and not think about it, but use the training that we have given you in the doing of your job. And so it's unfortunate for everybody involved, but it will keep escalating if people if they find that people aren't resorting to the training that they were given. Do the training that we were. ICE been around for a long time. People act. ICE just came about. ICE. I was a federal officer 20 years. I think it was called INS back then. It's been around. They've been taking people, going to get people, deporting them back to where they came from, especially in the commission of crimes they did. So ICE is old. But this new type of way that they doing it, I mean, they've gone out into the community to get people, to bring people back. This not new. What's new is the approach on how they do it. And so that's why we're seeing some of the shootings and some of the things happening now.
So what do you feel about to wrap this up, what do you feel about the particular arrest in Minnesota?
Man, just be prayerful for everybody involved. Protesters, you got to allow the people to do their job, because they given the command. And everybody just be safe and be respectful, because they really are just, they're not rogue, they're not vigilantes. They're people given a job to do. And so everybody respect life, so everybody can go home and try to resolve the issue peacefully.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Will Smith. That's Will Smith with Talking Cool Podcast on IntellectualRadio.com.